Welcome to our channel, The Bus Life.
Today we are going to catch you up on what we've been doing the past 2 weeks. These long, rainy, dreary 2 weeks.
I know it's been a while since we put a video up, but we have good reason. One of the reasons is many of us got sick, and although we were still working, it was just kind of a miserable situation. Lots of rain, kids sick, I was sick, hence the scratchy voice right now. But we've still been working and we still have a lot to show you guys. In about 30 minutes, a very good friend of ours who lives in Minnesota is going to be here, and he has brought from his countertop shop brand new Quartz countertops for our new bus. Now, we still haven't, of course, done the staining and varnishing in the bus, so I'm not going to officially attach them to the cabinets yet. Right, Julie?
Do I want to agree to whatever you were saying?
Excited about the countertops?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because it's going to make it more homey, complete, yes. Closer to the end.
So for the most part, all of our cabinets are built and installed. The only ones we have not done yet is at the very back of the bus in our room. We are actually in the middle of working on that. And that's what we were actually going to do today before we found out that our friends were coming from Minnesota to bring us our countertops. Our countertops have arrived. So all the way from Minnesota. Wow, look at that. Hey, those look nice. This is our good friend Dave Larsen, which we actually met him in North Carolina.
Yes,
right? Last year. And actually Dave Larsen is the main reason that we're even here. Dave connected us with Garrett, and Garrett connected us with the church here, who has allowed us to park here to do our bus conversion. So it's all Dave's fault.
We owe it to him.
Yeah, we owe it to him. So, but Dave owns a cabinet shop in Minnesota. What's the name of that shop?
L&L Granite.
L&L Granite.
Larsen and Larsen.
Larsen. Where are you guys located exactly?
Sturgeon Lake, Minnesota.
Sturgeon Lake, Minnesota. So if you're
an hour south of Duluth.
So if you're anywhere near Sturgeon Lake, Minnesota, and you need countertops, do you guys do cabinets too?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. So if you need countertops, call Dave. He will deal with you fair and square. He's a great guy. For people who don't know, what is the difference between quartz and granite?
In simple terms, granite's natural. It comes out of the ground, out of a quarry. And so God made it, in essence. It's part of the earth. It's a rock, a stone. Quartz is a man-made product, where they're taking quartz, which is a type of rock, and crushing it up, adding a color in it, and then a glue. And so it's a pattern that they create or whatever that, and so these are just a kind of a simple basic white, just a little bit of fleck. Some of them have, different colors and veining and swirls in them and so forth. But the advantage of quartz over granite is that being a man-made product, it's a lot more like even for a bus where you got a lot of
moving,
bouncing and thing, granite can crack because it's natural. There's and so this, you can pretty much take a slab, tip it over, and it won't break. Where if granite, you did that, it would break.
It would shatter. Yeah.
It's 100% non-porous.
You don't even have to worry about sealing it.
Yeah, exactly. There is no sealing it because it'd be like putting sealer on a glass.
Right.
It's not going to do anything.
So this is the perfect alternative to granite for a moving vehicle.
Yeah.
I guess the only downfall is it is very heavy.
Correct.
Right?
It is heavy. Yeah.
And we're about to find out how heavy it is. You want to film this, Julie?
Just set it there.
Our delivery is complete. Here it all is. All the quartz for the new bus, and we also have one other piece that we've already put in the bus that will sit up below the back window. So we just got a test mattress that we ordered because we got to order 7 mattresses. So we ordered just one to give it a kind of try it out to see if it's what we wanted. And it arrived today. Okay, here we go. comfortable.
Oh. Like, no, this is this goes here. This is Seth's mattress.
Is it comfortable?
That's me. Feels awesome. Oh, Seth never tried it yet. Yeah. I can see that. Bye, mattress. My mattress. No, Seth, it's mine. That's been yours. Yours is like that. Yeah, this is much more comfortable. A lot more squishy. I love your sock coordination there.
Well, it looks like a winner. I guess we'll buy some more.
Today we're going to focus on our bunk room and show you guys how we're building our bunk beds in the bus.
We have this side of the bunks pretty much completely done now, and the way we built it is actually really simple but effective way, and we're going to show you how we did that.
If you're going to build your bunks like this is what you're going to need. You're going to need a piece of 1x6 oak, 4 pieces of 1x2 oak, and that is what we are going to use for the border. So I found these brackets on Amazon. I will put the link for these in the video description, so if you want to find them you can. And these are meant for bed rails. Now these are, you know, removable and things like that. We're not going to use them in an application where they're going to be removed. I just wanted to find a really good sturdy bracket that enabled us to attach our bed rails to the walls and know that they are not going to move anywhere. Now I've already weight tested these. I mean, we know for sure. I mean, I can hang on one of these, just the bed rail, and of course the weight is distributed throughout, you know, all the rails around the edges. So these are going to be very sturdy. There's not going to be any chance of them falling. The last piece that you're going to need is going to be we used a 1/2 inch birch plywood, and ideally I wanted to go with a 3/4 inch for strength. But we wanted to give the kids as much room as possible in their headroom, so that extra 1/4 inch, I mean, it actually makes a difference. It's crazy.
And we were working with some 1/2 inch birch plywood, and it's substantially stronger, especially the cabinet grade birch plywood is much stronger than, say, just normal 1/2 inch plywood.
And so what we're doing is we're staining everything, we're varnishing everything before we put it in, and we're going to just kind of take you through the steps of building this bunk bed.
A couple days ago, Ashton and Isaiah both came in here and they sanded down this entire room.
So for about the last week, we have been sanding basically the master bedroom. So we've got all of our sanding pretty much done, and we're going ahead and applying our first bit of stain. So the stain that we're using is this stuff right here. It's a wood stain, antique white is the color, which is kind of similar to what we did in the Good News bus, like a pickling white. So Ash and I are going to get to it.
We buck and hippity hop, I'm as happy as I can be. Whoa, boom, boom, and hippity zoom. Love is sweet, love is grand, works one. We buck and hippity hop, I'll never be a millionaire. Whoa, boom, boom, and hippity zoom. I'm in love, I don't care.
So Julie and I can both tend to be perfectionists at times with our work, but I think that it's more important for the kids to be able to get in there and feel like they're a part of this project. So even if the stain doesn't turn out perfect like we'd like it to be, they'll be able to say years from now that we really helped build this bus, and that's more important to us than it being perfect. The bunk room, Isaiah and Ashton came out here and sanded that. Then we came back and we stained everything. And then we came back and we polyurethaned everything.
had to sand it again for a final coat of poly. So there's 2 coats of poly on it.
Yeah, so basically from our bedroom to the bunk room, it's very near completion.
Just a few pieces of trim here and there and flooring.
So we have been busy. Okay, so the first step we need to do is measure what the length of our rail is. So we're gonna go ahead and check that. Well, 74 5/8, I'd say. All right, so we have our measurement and we're gonna go cut our rail. We got our rail cut. The next stage is gonna be our inside support for the rail. We're gonna stick it on here and we gotta figure out what length it needs to be. And to do that, we're gonna take our plate. We want our plate to fall about right there. You want a little bit of a gap on each side. I mean, just a very small amount. So I'll come down here. So I'm gonna set the plate on here about where I want it. And then I'm gonna mark right where we want that cut. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to install our brackets. And I'm gonna pre-drill those and try to make sure I don't come through the other side. So the screws we're using are a 3/4 inch number 8 screw. There's 5 screw holes in this bracket. We're gonna only put 4 screws in because the other screw hole is for something else. So we'll do that later. All right, we got our 2 brackets installed on our rail. And next we're gonna install the support piece, and we do that at 3 inches.
We have a 5-inch mattress that we are putting in the bunk beds, and we want the mattress to stick up about halfway. So we'll have 2.5 inches below the wood frame and 2.5 inches above.
Just gonna flip it up though. Okay, flip that up. We are putting a bead of glue. There. Next, we're gonna put some screws in here. So we're using a 1 1/4 inch screw. $71.5. Ashton, what's half of 71.5?
35 and 3/4.
35 3/4. 35 3/4. Ashton, what's half of 35?
17.5.
Right. Right there. You want to mark 17.5 over there again? So our rail is done. Solid oak, very, very strong. One of the things I wasn't too sure about when I built the bunks on the Good News bus, I framed it. I mean, I made those things like you could put a truck on them pretty much. So when we were looking at doing it, designing it more like this, I was like, is it gonna be strong enough? But after building a few of them, I'm very convinced that they're rock solid. There's a letter on here, the letter A, and I don't know why, but when we're putting these on, they have to be upside down for it to work right. And that other screw hole we drilled that I was telling you about goes right here, and that secures this rail to that. And I'm going ahead and just attaching it to it now so I can just put the rail up there and then just screw it into the wall.
Strip it. Lock it in.
All right, so we have our rail sitting there in place. So the next thing to do is to measure and make sure our heights and our widths and are right before we screw it there. Now, previously, before, of course, building all this and before we framed our walls, we took into account that we were going to be building these this way. So we put lots of framing in the walls on each side so that we had plenty of structure there to screw into to make sure these are going to be nice and solid.
So we can't measure off this wall because this wall slowly tapers in. So we have to go off of this. We want these to be in line with each other. It's about 3 1/8. And down here is 3 1/8. There. That's to the top.
So we have our rail in place, and now we're just going to go ahead and put some screws in it. So we're using a 2-inch screw, and we're screwing into solid studs here. Our rail is now installed, very sturdy, and what we're going to do is now measure for the pieces of wood that go around the perimeter that will support the plywood that will sit on here that the mattress sits on. 2 at 29 3/4. Alright, our 2 side rails are in. So we have our bunk frame all done. So that's how we're doing it. That's how we're building our frames. And then the only thing left to do is to measure for our plywood piece and install that. So when we're doing the plywood, we are staining the back of it so that if you were to look up under here, it's going to be a stained finish, and we are varnishing it. So let's get our measurements for that and cut that, and we're done. 74.5 there. So I'd say 30 5/8.
Looks good. This is my bunk.
One other thing that we're doing on the plywood is where these brackets are, we are having to notch the plywood out around it.
Next, we gotta cut the plywood.
So as you can see from behind me, we have a storm coming our way. So we're getting ready to cut this last piece. We're gonna try to get it done before the storm is upon us. So here.
So 74.5.
74.5. storm is upon us! We've been forced inside as the storm rages outside. Now we're gonna see if our piece fits here. All right, guys, so it's getting kind of dark in here because the storm clouds are overhead, and but we wanted to share with you how we're building our bunk beds, and that's how we're doing it.
How is it, Ashton?
Cool.
It's raining. It's raining hard out.
You ready? 3, 2, 1.
Okay, we're gonna make a break for the good news bus. All right, we're gonna go fast.
Are you ready?
I'll probably be going a little slow.
Julie's gonna be going slower.
It's raining!
Go!
Waiting on you guys.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Have a great day.
Okay.
Bye.
We'll have another update for you soon.
Bye.
Let's go.
Oh
Oh my gosh, it's raining. Oh my goodness, lightning, go, go, go. What goes on here? What is this screen for, Isaiah?
For my video.